Okay, today I am west of Wenatchee. I don't know, 4 or 5 miles. Little community called Monitor, and I'm out looking at a grafting job that we did, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. I'm so bad at that, I'll say it was 5 years ago, and then when I look it up, it was 15 years ago, so I'm not sure. I'm going to find out. I've got it in my records. Actually, I did a video when we were out here doing this grafting. Commencing to come daylight here in the Great Northwest, and we are headed out to a job this morning. I'm driving the little mouse mobile, as you can see. Victor's driving my pickup, getting ready to meet up with the rest of the crew, and then we'll head on out to the job site. See you there. Thanks. Bye. Well, I'm going to do this from the car, because if I don't, you won't be able to hear anything. The wind is blowing pretty bad out there. So, give you a little idea of what's going on here. I got my fancy little chainsaw chaps on here, my little saw get up, and I've been out there chainsawing, and the rough part about this is this hillside. It's pretty steep, and climbing up that hill chainsaw is not near as much fun as it was 30 years ago. And by the way, our next job, well, not our next job, but one of the upcoming jobs is that orchard over there on the mountain. I've got this zoom, somehow I got it in the settings and got it on slow, so it zooms in real slow, but anyway, you get an idea. That's another job we're going to do in that upper elevation orchard. But what's going on here? The window's fogging up. Victor's way down at the other end of this road. You can see this one row's grafted already. And somebody asked me, a commenter asked the other day, why do you graft cherries all the time? Do they grow on new wood each year? And no, that's not the case. And I graft cherries all the time, but I don't graft the same cherry trees all the time. I graft for different growers. I contract for different growers, and I have a lot of steady clients that I don't do their work every year, but when they need me, they call me. And the thing is, what we're doing is changing varieties. That's why we're grafting these cherry trees. There's various reasons for grafting. Most commonly, just to change the variety from one that is that they can't sell, they're not making any money on, to a more profitable variety. We graft them over to something that'll pay the bills. And they either have to rip out this orchard and plant new trees, or call somebody to graft it, and they call me. So I can graft these trees for far less money than it costs to pull all these trees out and replant a different variety. I can graft them for less than just the cost of the tree, and they don't even have to think about all that labor and the cost of what it would take to do that replant. So this particular scenario, the reason they're grafting these, this was a mix-up in the nursery. He bought all these trees, and they were supposed to be a particular variety, and in harvest time, when the trees began to produce well, they got to the warehouse and started packing the fruit, and called him up and said, what are you trying to do? You're mixing these other varieties in. And well, he wasn't trying to do anything. He didn't know. He just bought the trees from the nursery and thought they were what they said they were, but it happens. Bundles get mixed up when they're digging trees and whatnot. So that's the deal here. This was a mix-up in the nursery. There's trees scattered throughout there that are not the variety they're supposed to be, but since we're going to be in here grafting, he decided to change it over to a different variety anyway, and I think the nursery's helping him out a little bit on the cost because of their part in this, and then he's picking up the rest of it, but I don't get into that. I just X them out per tree and away we go. So I might set the camera up here. Really not a whole lot to see. I'm just chainsawing trees. It's pretty boring. So anyway, that's what's going on. We're grafting today. It's grafting season. Talk to you later. See you. Bye. So that same year, we grafted in that block up there on the mountain. And we did this one first, and then I had a gal that worked for me at the time, Carrie, come through here and do the touch-up painting. We always do touch up the paint after the job's done, and I remember that because Victor and I were over there grafting, and we could look over here and see her white coveralls. We could spot her over here painting. Anyway, what happened here was this guy, there's 1,250 trees in here. Bought them from the local nursery, and one of the nurseries, and it was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be Skeena, and it turned out it was a mix of Lapin and Sweetheart. They got some bundles mixed up, some labels mixed up somehow at the nursery, and the packing shed thought he was trying to pull a fast one and slipped something in that wasn't supposed to be there, the wrong variety, and he didn't even know until it got to the shed that they were not what they were supposed to be. So consequently, the nursery that screwed up paid for the grafting, and we grafted this all over to Bing's, and now I think we're going to graft it to what did he say, Skeena? Yeah, I think so. Well, actually, no, his options are open. He's going to check around. He's going to look into some different varieties. I think he's going to do some research on that, and he still has lots of time to decide what he wants to put on. And cherries are pretty compatible as far as I know. I've never had any incompatibility issues while grafting cherries. So whatever he decides, as long as it's the right kind of wood, the right size, and stored properly, we should get a good take, which we did here. We got an excellent take here. You can see some of the old grafting tape that we use right here. So this was a graft and this was a graft. This is a graft union. You can see where it was grafted in here and here. And anyway, we got a tremendous take, percentage of take they call it. Well, 100% trees for sure. Didn't lose any trees. You always lose a graft or two here and there when it's cherries, but these did really well. And everybody's happy. Yeah, when you look at this, it looks like you get the impression, I should say, that we almost know what we're doing when it comes to grafting cherries. Here's another one. You can see where it was split right there. That's where the receiving slot was made, and the graft placed, and the end of the sign is right there. Check it out. There it is. I can tell by the little bit of black paint on it. This is one of the buds that came off of it. Another bud. Some people think when you put that grafting length in there, that 6-inch length of wood, that the wood grows, but it's only the bud that comes off of that. The wood just swells up, but the bud is what grows and makes your tree. There's another graft union there. There's where this slot was made. You can tell right here. There's a line there. That's the graft union. It's a little bit different bark here than it is here. And this is the old stump where that old guy that runs a chainsaw, he cut that right there, right there. And Victor and his guys came through and placed the graft. Okay, here's a block of trees. I grafted in here. I figured out it's been about 35 years ago. I think it was about 1985. It was so long ago that I cannot find the graft union anymore. This may have something to do with the graft when they were grafted, that split going down the bark, maybe. I'm not sure. I do not recall. I'm thinking I did not graft the entire block. And I don't know if I grafted only the pollinizer trees, which would be these white stumps. There's another one back there. Or if it was the opposite, if I did not do these and grafted the other trees. It was so long ago, I just don't know. And possibly it was even a different section of the orchard. I know I didn't graft the whole thing. I do remember that, but it's really, really hard to see any kind of a union. I'm guessing that tree may have been grafted. If I go down in this lower portion of the orchard, I may find some indicators and I may not. Just hard to say, but I think, you know, that looks like that looks like a grafted tree. This looks like maybe a graft union here, some kind. This looks like a graft union. Possibly this is there's something going on there. A little bit different coloration in the bark. But it was so long ago that it just healed up so well that you can't see the union anymore. I don't know. Kind of interesting. It lasted a long time. I don't know, these trees were probably, seems like they were fairly large trees when I did them. They might have been 10, 12 years old already when I did do the grafting. Yeah, I think this is a graft union here. Okay, I don't have any video of when we did the work. I wasn't doing grafting videos back in 1985. I had a little 3-person crew. I would come into a job like this and I would do the chainsaw. I would do the chainsaw work, cut them down while my 2 helpers cut up the graft wood. And then I'd come back and I would start doing the grafting, and one person would tape and one person would paint. And I think this is a grafted tree right here. It looks like right here and right here. Because at the time, I believe we had them put some white paint on them to reflect the sunlight. Maybe that's because we did them a little bit late. We typically do not put white paint on cherries because by the time it gets hot enough to burn cherries, they've already created their own shade. We graft cherries in late February, early March, so by the time it gets hot, by the 1st of May, they have enough growth on them to kind of have a little canopy and create enough shade that they do not sunburn. Now on apples, when we're grafting later in April and May, we have to put some white paint on them to keep them from getting burned. But here's another little indicator that this tree was grafted. He still gets a good crop. I don't remember what, they are, what did he tell me they are? Did we put on vans? See, back when I first started, there were only 3 kinds of cherries. Three main varieties. There was Vans and Lamberts and Bings, and that's it. Pretty much it. And then there was 2 kinds of pollinators. One of them would be politically incorrect. Well, actually, it would be an oxymoron. One of them was called a Black Republican. Was one of the pollinator varieties. The other one was called a Royal Anne. And that's all the cherries there were. Nobody was growing any Skeena, Sweethearts, Lapins, none of that. That all came later. So, I guess I've been doing this for a while, huh? All right, thank you.